Hello folks, hope you're doing well today. What you're about to see is an interview from a few weeks ago that we did with Schecter Guitar President Michael Ciravolo. He gave us a mini tour of their Sun Valley Custom Shop factory and talked about a few specific models that we happen to have in stock right now. We're also going to sprinkle this video with a few playing clips of those guitars so you get some context to what we're talking about. So I hope you enjoy this video. If you do, leave a like down below, and if you have any questions about Schecter products, comment down there as well with your thoughts and queries, and head to our website peachguitars.com by clicking the link in the description box below to find out more about Schecter products. Enjoy. Right, hey folks, Jack here from Peach Guitars, and this is very much a first for us, doing some video content in the real moment, in the real time, online. This is a bit of a weird feeling, but we've got the guys from Schecter's Custom Shop, and we wanted to just spend a few minutes having a chat, actually on site as best as we can, as close to the site as we can make it. It's morning time for them, it's evening time for us. So good morning to you guys. How are things in Sun Valley?
It's actually sunny
Yeah.
and a little cold, but we're really standing in front of a green screen. We have nothing here.
What you're standing in front of is way more of an impressive backdrop than I was expecting. I thought you'd be in your PJs in your living room or something, but these guys are in the factory. They made it in for 9 a.m. and this fits in perfectly because we just want to kind of address the fact that over here in the UK, at least, Schecter's Custom Shop is just not known about enough among the UK customers. I know you guys have a huge following in the US, but certainly over here, whenever we talk about Schecter a lot in our videos that we feature, they always get a great reception, but there's still not as much awareness in our customers as we would like. So the fact that you guys are in the factory is going to be a perfect setting for this. So I just, wanted to have a general chat about what goes on day to day in the custom shop, and specifically with you, Michael, as company president, but also as a Schecter artist. I think that's a really cool dynamic. So maybe let's start there, shall we? What's your kind of work and play life balance like at the moment?
Gee, with everything shut down, there's not a lot of live stuff, but I kind of bury myself in the studio and working on another Beauty and Chaos record. It's a juggling work, family, and doing a project like that. But that's why we do it. And that was my first love. But I didn't grow up going, I want to run a guitar company, but it's been a good second option.
Yeah, well, that's like two dreams come true, right?
Yeah, it's working this, I was always a guitar fan, being a kid in New Orleans, and when Schecter came out in the mid 70s, late 70s, that everything was about modifying a guitar. No kid ever played an off the shelf guitar. You buy it, you replace the tuners, the bridge, the pickups. That was where Schecter's birth was in the 70s, in that whole upgrading and kit guitar world. And I remember seeing pictures of the Schecter Van Nuys facility, and it just looked like a cool wood shop. Guys that look like musicians, long hair guys, just working and building guitars. And it's kind of what we have here. You could look at some of our competitors. The Music Man facility is crazy robotics in the PRS facility, and this is a bit of a throwback. This is you look around here, it's there's furniture making machines in here, and like things that you would find in a wood shop, and I think that gives it the charm.
Yeah. So how much of the approach to guitar building has changed for you guys since the inception of the company, would you say? Obviously you've made technological advances and stuff, but the actual approach and the input that you guys make into your products, would you say it's still pretty much in the roots of the company?
Yeah, when the company was in the beginnings, it was it was a lot of I'll use the F word. There were Fender style guitars. That was Schecter was building replacement Strat, Tele, J bass bodies. That was kind of their jump into the market. But that, and David Schecter developed the first tapped single coil. That was kind of his addition to what the company did. But so when I took over, I really didn't want it to be just based on that. You know, everybody, it was like so many people looked at Schecter as being a kit guitar. You guys make those
Mm.
expensive strats, and my first couple of years here was really trying to separate ourselves from that. That's where we kind of our original body stuff, the Tempest, the Hellcat, the Avenger, and things like that. I was just really doing whatever I could to get us away from, you know, just the old school part of Schecter. And I think over the past 10 years, since we've really put a focus on the custom shop, I've kind of realized that that is part of Schecter's heritage. We do it real well. So now we have like a nice mix of, you know, what Schecter's roots were, and then some of our own style.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's a great balance of of kind of contemporary style, but also you can tell that. I mean, you guys were pretty much the original custom shop. I guess it's important to note that this was way before Fender decided to get into the custom shop game and similar brands like that. You guys were pretty much the very first manufacturer of basically just putting guitars together that players needed in the day. I think that's really important to note.
Yeah, that was a big thing. You know, that was one of our taglines, the original California custom shop. And then Valley Arts came along. And,
Yeah.
you know, again, if people go back and remember that time, it was Mighty Might, Boogie Body, Star Guitars. Everybody was jumped in just, you know, making replacement parts. You know, those era guitars, you know, were not known as Fender's best time, even though now they're considered vintage. But that was, you know, Schecter made every part that you could to either completely upgrade a Strat or a Tele or build one from a kit. And oddly, that whole kit concept is what really sort of launched Schecter into doing full-fledged guitars. I don't know, you know, it was before my time working here, of course, but I don't know if there wasn't the kit guitars, if Pete Townsend or Mark Knopfler wouldn't have walked into, I think it was Rudy's in New York, and saw that a put together guitar on the wall, the bound Tele style guitar that eventually we called the PT, or the basic Strat that Knopfler walked in there and found. If that would have launched the company into doing their own guitars. So, you know, there's always a bit of luck in right place, right time, I think, with anything you do. And Schecter definitely benefited from that.
Yeah. I love the fact that it's an organic guitar company. You can tell that right from its inception, it was just about the needs of guitar players and that kind of art form. And I like that you guys have still got that aspect to the company even today. And you've got Drew Larson behind you, who I believe is Custom Shop production manager. So I guess we can jump from the inception to where you guys are now, and we're going to talk a little bit about the stabilized top guitars that we saw from you quite recently. We recently did an unboxing here when they arrived. I got to play them. I really, really was surprised at how much I love those guitars, just because I wasn't quite sure what to expect with, it's kind of, Schecter's such a wide-ranging company. I didn't really know what to expect when those things came out of the cases, but not only visually, but tonally, those things really, really stood out to me. So maybe, can we just talk a little bit about the stabilized top, like the process that goes into building those guitars? Because it's unlike anything else I think we've ever seen from any other brand.
Well, we have some that we set out.
Gonna go. These are a couple that are actually in production for a U.S. dealer, Chandro, but I think he's got one over. Yeah, I mean the guitars certainly come alive when you get the top coat on them. It brings, here's a piece of the wood, the way we get it. I mean, I think with the custom shop guitar, and I think something that gets lost, especially with import guitars, is that most of the time the tops are so thin, they're just basically laminates, on our import guitar. Anybody else's, you're not putting a half-inch, flame maple top on a Korean or an Indonesian built guitar. So I think what we do over here really gets back to like the tonal that you actually do hear the difference when you put maple over mahogany, or maple over swamp ash, or solid maple. There are tonal differences that I think, me growing up working at some of the custom, like the Lab Sound here was a big, Tom Anderson dealer in the late 90s, and there is that difference that I think has gotten lost. But these tops do have that clarity, that adds this cut and focus. It's not a whole lot different, I think, from maple. It does focus the sound, and they're visually striking. And I think one thing with this is no two pieces are going to look alike.
That's the most amazing thing. Sorry.
The stabilizing process it makes it so you can use woods that you aren't always able to use because they're kind of brittle or soft. And the stabilizing process makes it hard and machinable, and it makes it work just like your normal woods. And then on some like this one, it's like combined with the epoxy itself, so it's a little bit of both. I think the ones that you have are mostly just the pure stabilized tops that have the the nice colors and stuff that come out.
I mean, the epoxy is used just as a filler, because some of these tops, like the burl and the spalted and stuff, have divots, and just it naturally occurs in the wood. So the epoxy, like this guitar, seems to have like a good bit of this turquoise stuff that gets filled in. That probably doesn't add anything tonally, but it certainly doesn't take away. And it just makes it where most flame maple tops or quilt are going to look 95% the same. It's just, is that 3A, 4A, 5A, and this it'll be where nothing else looks like it. I mean, we don't do the tops in here. We source them from a couple of different places, and they're very they're unique individuals. But the process, as you can see, does pull the wood. The color goes completely through the top. So it's some type of vacuum process that brings the color completely through. And depending on the top, we'll enhance it with doing a burst or some things like that. But it's definitely cool, cool and different, and getting tired of. It's just something different than
it's totally different, yeah. And what was really interesting to me playing those guitars is, typically I would just ordinarily associate guitars that look that beautiful, and you think there's so much physical material here. Sometimes you find those guitars sound a little bit dead tonally because there's just so much in the wood that stops it from moving. At least that's the conception you have. But it was totally the opposite with those guitars. They were so resonant, so lively. And do you think that's partly down to the construction of the top that you were talking about? You said about kind of getting more clarity out of it.
I think it just adds this clarity over the base wood of the guitar. you know, I think it allows like to have passive pickups in it and have each guitar have an individual tone as opposed to when you would stick an active pickup, which, you know, I mean, we do in the Diamond series a ton of EMG and Fishman loaded guitars, and they all tend to sound the same, you know, a good sound, but it's that sound. And, you know, you could take 6 guitars out of,
You know what to
out of a
expect
box,
from it.
and they pretty much sound similar to where these guitars, I think, are going to have their own individual tonality, you know, to where the fingerboard, the wood, the backwood of the guitar, everything all kind of is part of the stew that makes that guitar individual. And that's a part that's really like exciting, that I think gets lost on an import guitar.
I mean, just to jump to another
But you
custom
can
shop.
see, I mean, they're not trying to get in, they're not super thick, but they're certainly work in conjunction with the, you know, these guitars have, I think, a swamp ash back, you know, which would sound different if we put this over a mahogany back and everything. But, you know, it's, I think in general, you catch people with something that's visually striking. And then, like you said, you could pick up a guitar that looks fantastic, you know, a granite guitar, like, wow, that looks so great. And then sounds either really harsh or just dull. And I think this guitar, these tops help with the entire balance of it.
It's just, they just sound like old school guitars. And that's what I think a lot of us really, really enthuse about. And like I said before, whenever we featured Schecter's guitars on our channel before in videos, they always come out really well because people always pick up on the warmth of the tone and the kind of dynamic relationship that the guitars have with an amplifier as well. There's none of that kind of just smashing the hell out of the front end of an amp with your pickups and stuff like that as well. They're really carefully balanced. So it's like the perfect package, I think, of visual and the tone that you guys get out of your guitars. It's great.
I think it's important that they're a player's guitar. I mean, I hate the idea of, you know, a guitar just sitting in its case and having someone unveil it like a piece of art and go, oh no, I don't play this or I don't touch it. I mean, I like to think these guitars are built to be played, you know, not just looked at. I think in this world, we've gotten to the point where everybody examines every guitar under a microscope. And it's like, sometimes I go, guys, do you just play these things? I mean, that's what they're made for. You know, I mean, you're going to get a ding on it. I'm sorry. If you play it, you're going to get a pick scratch. You're going to get a belt buckle mark. You're going to bang the headstock on something. That just adds character.
Yeah, that's when you get into the relic discussion, and that's not one that we want to have today.
We do
That'll
that
be-
quite well too.
You do that really well, yeah. And actually, just to jump to another model quickly, because it's in my on the front of my mind, the most recent guitar I've played from you guys was actually the Sultan, and that's something I think we're going to see again quite soon. It was an incredible guitar. That S style. It was, to be honest with you, I remember remarking at the time that it was just one of the most refreshing S style guitars that I've played in ages. So, what's the kind of ethos behind how you balance kind of more historically derived guitars like that, more of a kind of classic S style, and then how do you put the Schecter spin onto that?
I mean, that guitar, certainly, we're talking about the red guitar that was Mark Knopfler's kind of go-to during a lot of the early Dire Straits stuff. And, you know, we had kind of really researched the old pickups and tried to get it something that had that tone. I mean, Knopfler's tone was a lot of that 2 and 4 position, and having one pickup out of phase, and really that. I think the cool thing about Schecter guitars, whether it's Diamond Series or the Custom Shop, is we really go for versatility. You know, the more sounds that you can get out of an instrument easily at your fingertips between push pulls and toggles without being like, you know, overly complicated, I think is great. You know, that in conjunction with where it really changes the tone, hitting your pedals or the front end of your amp. For the Sultan, we were just really going for visually like Knopfler's original Schecter, and just trying to find, you know, we have a couple of really great guitar players that work here, me not being one of them, but you know, that we kind of really tried to voice the Sultan pickups to fit that sound, kind of get the feel of that era. And I think we also made it our monster tone pickups, which were, you know, the Schecter with the big 1/4-inch pole pieces that have the sound their own as an option at guitar. So it's just, I mean, we didn't reinvent the wheel there, you know, but it visually and sonically, I think really hits the mark of, you know, back in the day when Knopfler was using the Schecters. From what I read, he still has that guitar. It doesn't come out of his house much, but it still makes appearances in the studio and everything. So you know, I would say it's iconic, you know, even iconic being that is the shape of another company. I think people look at that in a way. We're starting to develop that with the Nick Johnson guitars. You know, again, it's an S style guitar, not reinventing something, but sonically, it's starting to get associated with Nick, who's you know, probably one of the best guitar players I've ever heard in my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's those nuances that are so important, and that's what makes a brand identifiable. And like I said to you, when I played that guitar, and I've played Nick's guitars as well, and they just feel fresh. They don't feel like it's just recycling an old platform. Even though you're taking a lot of that original magic, you've still got the Schecter kind of vibe to it. The tone and the feel is through and through a Schecter guitar, I think. you know, if you had to distill it down, what is that? What is the Schecter vibe to you?
You know, it's a guitar that feels like you've had it a while, like not new and stiff out the case. That that you pick it up and it makes you want to play, makes you want to write something. You know, not to sound corny about it, but I mean, it is an instrument. It is supposed to inspire, and you know, it's got to go past just that guitar looks really good on the wall or really looks cool sitting in the case. And I think a lot of that, you know, it starts from us purchasing, you know, good resonant, complete, you know, proper dried pieces of wood that are proper moisture content and designed and everything. But then the final step is the assembly and setup. And I think our assembly, the guy who heads up our assembly, I've worked with him for 20 years, 20 plus years, Shigeki Aoshima, is the best in the business. I mean, you've seen those guitars come out the cases and the fretwork, and it's, I mean, it's meticulous. And I think that it's a great part. It's a hindrance when I look at stuff when I have to put on the business hat and go, wow, we're only doing 50 guitars a month or 40 guitars a month. And but then I got to go there. We're not going to, unless I can find a cloning machine with Shigeki, you know, that's the spin. That's the final thing, because we could build a fantastic guitar and we can let a hack person assemble it and not have that attention to detail and the fretwork and the meticulous wiring. And it would probably take a big step back. So I think it's every step of the process here that makes this place special. Again, some people probably look at the way the shop looks and go, wow, that doesn't look, you know, there's not robots moving stuff around, and there's not, you know, 10 CNC machines, or there's not, you know, 15 guys doing assembly. It is a small facility. We have 9 people in the shop here, and they move from station to station. They have their forte, but you know, several of the guys can paint. You know, they all know about wood, and it's a cool thing. And I love that we do our own pickups. You know, that's a really fun part of developing here.
Yeah, it's all in house, right? Everything that goes into it.
Right above me, we have we've an expanded pickup room. We have, I think, 5 winding machines now, because a lot of our Diamond series are using our USA pickups also. I mean, nothing against Duncan, you know, or any of the other brands that we use, and we still use EMG and Fishman as our actives, but you know, the pickups is what got Schecter originally into the game, and that's a big part of what we do. And we can kind of wind things that fit the guitar, and we're able to do cool stuff with these stabilized tops, like using the extra pieces of wood and use that as a bobbin top, or like here, like put the inserts into the headstock, and things like that. So doing it in-house, I'm a big proponent of whatever we can do in-house to do it here, which is why we moved to this facility. I mean, we were in really 3 miles away from here in Burbank, and we couldn't get the license to paint in the, you know, Burbank city limits wouldn't allow us to paint. So we basically moved 3 miles away, and now we can paint in-house, because we used to have to send the guitars out to a place outside of this area to paint. And then you lose control over it. You don't, you know, it's like no one cares about your stuff as much as you do, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what, I can't wait till we can roam free again and we can get over there and actually spend some time in the factory, because just spending, you know, just a brief time talking to you and seeing the little bit of the factory I can see, it's a proper artisan workshop, and I love that. We don't see enough of that.
Yeah, it'd be great to have you guys over here and go through some of the woods. And I mean, we have dealers come by and they'll pick tops, and you know, I think it makes them feel more connected to the instruments that they're getting in for their shop, and it does make it unique. You know, I mean, it'd be fun to have you guys over here.
Yeah, we'd love to. Let's just hope it can happen soon.
I think it's starting to open up a bit. I think people are a little bit over it, the
Yeah.
shutdown.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't encourage people enough to check out just even the history of Schecter guitars, because it is such an impressive history. But you know, it's always worth looking on our website as well, because we've got some incredible custom shop pieces from you guys, as well as the production line stuff that you do. It's always consistent, it's always varied, it's always interesting. So thank you both for your time. I really appreciate just having a quick chat with you, and this insight is really valuable. So I hope that our customers can take a lot from this.
Yeah, I'm always reachable by email, happy to answer questions and anything.
Great
Appreciate
stuff. All right. No worries. Thanks, guys. You have a great day. All right, folks, thanks for watching this video. If you've enjoyed it, as I said before, please leave a like down below. Comment down below with any questions or thoughts you may have. Be sure to subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already, so you don't miss out on any of the content we put out in the future. Take care, and we'll see you next time.